without boring you with platitudes. So, the topic of the discussion today is job opportunities in AI pervasive world. So, specifically, I'm sure this is something which must be troubling many of you who are, you're yet to enter the professional stream and start your careers. And every other day you see in newspaper that, hey, there is this excellent capability that has been added to AI. Now we have AI capable of writing poetry. We have AI capable of drawing, new images. AI capable of reproducing the works of masters and maestros like Mozart and people like that. So the question that always comes up, if I am in your place, then I would be having this question myself. Hey, is my job threatened? Is AI going to take over the world? And are we all going to have to essentially sit under a tree and uh, do we have to serve the robot masters in future? These are all the questions that you would have, uh, especially if you even pay half a mind to Hollywood movies. This is definitely a question that you would have, right? Whereas, so let's get into the details of what this is. What is the AI pervasive world that we're going to see, and how are job opportunities going to look like? Is it the end of uh, job, people working for employment, etc.? Is it going to be all robot doctors, robot lawyers, robot priests, robot everything? Who knows, maybe even robot parents, right? So let's see how things are going to happen in the world, and how do we survive this this seeming onslaught of AI, and how do we ensure that we earn bread and butter for ourselves, right? So, or honey and cheese, whichever you want to call it, roti, kapra, and makan. So yeah, let's get with it. So that the agenda today, what is it that we're actually going to discuss? I want to start with AI, the hype versus the reality. Okay, this is extremely important to understand what is the hype and what is the reality of AI, because what you see in Hollywood is not just hype; it is overhype. And what we read in the papers, what we hear and see in advertisements, all these things is hype. What we do actually do on a day-to-day basis, that's the reality. So we have to differentiate these two. Okay, what is it that the marketing, the advertising is speaking about AI? What is it they're speaking openly, and what is it that they're not telling us? Okay, then we'll briefly see a couple of use cases of AI, and then we'll get into how AI is going to impact jobs. Is it going to impact jobs? If it does, then how is it going to impact jobs? And how do we survive in this AI pervasive world? Then we'll go for questions if you have any. Okay, so let's get started. And at any point of time, if you want to ask me something, if you want me to go back to a previous slide to get some clarification, etc., please feel free to speak up. It may not be possible that if you do a gesture or something, I may not be able to see it from the video, because my screen is full of this whatever you're seeing right now, so I won't be able to see any of the videos. So please feel free to unmute and ask me a question at any point of time. Okay, right. I'd like to start with one sentence which I was told by one of my favorite teachers when I was studying a couple of decades ago. What he told us was, the only stupid question is the one which is not asked. Okay, so please don't think that your question is probably not intelligent enough, or someone is going to laugh at your question, etc. If someone laughs, it is their teeth that will be visible. Okay, so don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. So let's get started. um, so what is the hype all about AI? The hype and the overhype and even the panic factor about AI, right? So let's see a few examples of how AI has really come a long way, right? So Sophia, Sophia is a fantastic example. Sophia is a social humanoid robot developed by a Hong Kong based company named Hands On Robotics. And Sophia has been given, Sophia is the first robot to receive citizenship from, I think it was from UAE or Dubai or something like that, from one of the Middle Eastern countries. She was the first non-human to receive a title from United Nations organization. She was named as the innovation champion, right? So now that sentence itself, actually the last two sentences, they actually fill me with a lot of dread. Sophia, if you go by English grammar, a robot is a lifeless thing, so it's supposed to be referred to as it. But now we have to call Sophia as she. She can vote in elections. She has a right to express her opinion about politics, and she has the right to own property and adopt children. Think of that. A robot is raising a human being. Scary thought, right? So then I just wanted to show you these two examples here. Let me see if the media can be played. But Boston Robotics is a company based out of Boston, Chicago. Okay, and they are building robots, and the robots that they have built are, my God, they haven't. So we'll not go into. I'll mute it here. I've muted the video, but you can go through their Boston Dynamics, their webpage, or the YouTube channel. They look at the kind of acrobatics that particular robot is performing. Right now, robots are capable of playing tennis, playing football, whatnot. We'll not spend too much time on this. We'll just hold it here. This particular movement, if you are from a mechatronics background, or if you have some exposure to robotics, this 360-degree flip is a staggering achievement of mechanical engineering and artificial intelligence. Okay, that's beyond a wildest dream just a few years ago. Nobody could even think that something of that sort was possible. So let's go further. Oh, come on. Now this, a robot has committed suicide in South Korea. South Korea as a country is the most robot friendly country. For every 10 human beings, they have a robot. Okay. And apparently, a robot committed suicide in South Korea. This happened not just a week ago. The deceased robot was found by council staff. It works at a government council office. Okay, it was found by the staff at about 4 p.m. at the bottom of the staircase. Apparently it had intentionally thrown itself over a 2-meter long staircase. That's the reason why I created this. I put this image of robot jumping onto a road on the right hand side. And by the way, the image that you see on the right hand side is created using Gen AI. I asked generative AI to just give me the image of a robot which is jumping off a building onto a road with very few traffic on the road, and this is what it got generated. I'm not an artist by any measure. Okay, the best I can do is draw a pencil with a pen and draw a line with a pencil and a scale. But with Gen AI's help, I've become an artist here. So, and this is my favorite slide. This is the Hollywood's view of AI. By the way, if you can't recognize any of these images in here, don't worry. These are much before your time. The image on the top left is from the original Star Wars, the prequel, the sequel trilogy. It was that came out in sometime in 70s. Okay, even I was not born at that time. Terminator, the top right and the bottom left is from the Terminator 2 movie. I was a fan of those movies. It was when I was a child. Most of you would probably recognize these, right? Ultron and Vision picking up Thor's hammer. You would probably recognize this. This is the Hollywood's view of AI. This is what robotics would, artificial intelligence and robots would do, right? So, but do they? Do they? Let's look at the reality. Yeah, not really. I'm giving an honest to God answer here. Not really. I want you all to please, whoever told you that, hey, robots are taking over the world, you know, politely ask them to take a walk. Not going to happen. This is the reality of artificial intelligence. Okay. By the way, you see the image you see on the right hand side, that is Sophia, the same Sophia robot from behind, right? I put that for a reason. So what is the experts opinion on Sophia? It is not ideal that some think of Sophia as having human equivalent intelligence. And who is the person making that statement? It is Ben Goetzel. He is the chief scientist who built Sophia. So he said that the guy who built Sophia, if you look at that sentence, the quote that I put over there, right? It is an extremely carefully worded sentence. It is not ideal that some think of Sophia as having human equivalent intelligence. That sentence is a loaded sentence. It meant to keep the marketing and sales departments happy, at the same time not outright lying. Okay, it was a loaded sentence, and that is a sentence coming from the guy who built Sophia. Now let's go for something a little less charitable. I'll not read that out loud. I'll leave it to you to read by yourself. But that statement is coming from Jan LeCun. He is the winner of the Turing Award. He is the one who invented deep learning. Turing Award, for those who don't know, Turing Award is the Nobel Prize of computer science. Jan LeCun is the one who has whatever deep learning that we are, going gaga about today, right? He is the one who has built deep learning from scratch to what we see today, and that's his statement. An expert review of Sophia is a chatbot with a face. Now, why am I saying all this? I want you to be very clear that AI is not the hype. So, where do we stand at when it comes to artificial intelligence? All platitudes and all these inspiring stories aside, where do we stand? There are three types of AI. Okay, one is called narrow AI, wherein an AI algorithm is applied for an extremely specific problem. So the problem is so tightly defined, the requirements of the problem are so, painfully rigid, that you just can't generalize it. Okay. So whatever that you have been hearing of all the hype, whatever you are reading in newspapers, everything that you see belongs to this narrow AI. Now, what exactly does that mean? I'll explain in a few slides later. But that is what is called as narrow AI. The algorithm can do an extremely specific job, and nothing except that. Nothing except that. Example: Deepface 2015, Facebook face recognition algorithm. When the Deepface was released, the computer vision experts, they have made a bold statement saying that, hey, I think the face recognition problem has been by and large solved. True, yes, face recognition problem has been solved by Deepface. It is capable of detecting, separating one face from the another, but it is absolutely useless when you ask it to differentiate between a human being and a dog. Look at that, right? The Facebook's face recognition algorithm is capable of identifying one particular human being by name, but it cannot, the same algorithm cannot say that if you give it two dogs, or a human and a dog photo, it can't differentiate between those two. Now, that's narrow AI, because it solves an extremely specific problem. The same thing goes for ResNet, Inception, YOLO, etc. These are image classification, localization algorithms, etc. They are fantastic, phenomenal at the very specific problem that you have given to it. They can't do anything else. If you take the example of Inception, for example, right? Just Inception is capable of detecting something around 80,000 different objects: a dog, a cat, an aeroplane, a ship, a car, a truck, a human being. It is capable of identifying. But now let's just say, to these 80,000 images, there is one image which is not present in those 80,000 list. Let's say the photograph of a cake. or a banana, right? That is not present in that list that it has been trained upon. You feed that to any of these algorithms to inception cannot detect it. It will not be able to say that, hey, this is a banana, this is a cake, this is a pineapple. It won't be able to say that. Now you have to build a new algorithm to detect banana versus apple versus cake. The same banana versus apple versus cake algorithm is incapable of detecting, say for example, a pineapple. Okay, so that is what narrow AI is. A very 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 specific problem. The same goes for GPT-4, DALI, Claude, LLMs, everything that you see. Content generation, they can generate new content. Now that may look like artificial intelligence for you, but it's not. I'll explain why. Okay. Now then there is this weak AI. No one knows what this weak AI is. No one has really any clarity on this. And strong AI is what is called as artificial general intelligence, which is what we see in this this Hollywood style, these robots, Ultron, Vision, right, Terminator, etc. These are all what is called as strong AI, artificial general intelligence. It is very much in a research stage. Okay, that is what is that human-like intelligence that we're speaking of. Okay, and many experts actually think that artificial general intelligence is not possible within this century. I repeat that. Many experts believe artificial general intelligence is not possible in this century. We are at the middle of 2024. We have another 75 years for the 21st century to be completed. And people think that 75 years later also at AGI is not really possible. Okay. So, what is marketing telling you about AI? These are some quotes I've picked up from various marketing experts. Okay. Artificial intelligence is like having a super smart assistant that never gets tired, make decisions based on data, and learns from its experiences. It's changing the way we live and work, making things more efficient and convenient. It almost makes you think that, hey, I get a artificial intelligence, then I'm getting an Aladdin's lamp, right? Imagine a world where your car drives you to work, the fridge orders groceries and when you're running low, yeah, and your devices understand and respond to your commands. That's not science fiction, that's artificial intelligence. Agreed, it is artificial intelligence. It's artificial general intelligence. Okay, so not possible in the next 75 years. With AI, we are not just dreaming about the future. I'll leave the remaining comments everywhere. But the only sentence which actually made sense to me in all these things is the last one. Artificial intelligence is the new electricity. Just as electricity transformed countless industries a century ago, AI is now poised to do the same. It's an exciting time to be alive, and we witness a revolution in the making. That part is true. That sentence is actually honest. That quote is actually honest. But the point that I would like to highlight is, when electricity was discovered and it was made part of everyone's life, no single person has lost their job because of electricity. Earlier to that, there were no major electric machines and all the electricity, so there were 10,000 people trying to do the mill for rice mills, etc. Now electricity, you have a rice milling machine which does it. But how many people lost their jobs because of electricity, and how many jobs were created because of electricity? Just think of that. Okay, we'll go into more details on that. So these are the things which marketing is not telling you. you know if you guys have been exposed to any American any Hollywood movies which involve a court of law, they take an oath. I'll tell the whole truth, I'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's this where everyone who gives a witness in a court. Marketing has a slight modification of it. Tell the truth, nothing but the truth, but not the whole truth. They leave out certain inconvenient details. Okay, and these are those inconvenient details. Accuracy is a challenge. Okay, AI algorithm, just because you have an AI algorithm, hey, you drag drop it and then bam, I got my solution, doesn't work that way. If only that was true, everybody in the world will be a, put their money in stock market and using an AI algorithm predict which stock will earn millions tomorrow. Everybody will become a millionaire in a matter of days, right? So accuracy is a challenge, and AI inception out of the box. Okay, if you take inception algorithm which I mentioned earlier for classifying images, etc., we have taken that algorithm. I'm giving you a personal example. I've taken that algorithm uh, on these 80,000 objects, different objects that it has been trained upon. It has a almost 89 90% accuracy. 90 times out of 100 it correctly identifies what that image is it a cat, is it a dog, is it a human being, is it a car, etc. Now, I'm speaking of a personal experience. I've taken that algorithm as it is and tried to train it to detect diabetic retinopathy. Take the image of an eye and identify if the patient is diabetic, yes or no, etc. Because there's a specific case called diabetic retinopathy. Out of the box, Inception's accuracy was something like 52% for me. 52%. So it was just essentially a flip of the coin. Flip the coin, you are 50 times right, you're 50 times wrong. Inception gave me 52% accuracy. I mean, negligible improvement over a coin toss. Now, is that accurate enough to be deployed? That is what marketing is not telling you, and that is where jobs happen. Trying to improve the accuracy from 52% to 95%, 98%. Now 98% is generally not possible. We'll get to the details later, but that's essentially the expectation. And then it is data hungry. It cannot automatically predict anything. AI cannot automatically predict anything. The data should be presented in a way that machine can understand. And I'm not speaking of binary data or hexadecimal data. No, 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 no. That problem was solved right when computers were identified, were designed. The data itself, we'll get into the details a little later, but the data on which this, you give it a photograph and say, okay, tell me, is this a cat or a dog? That the image should be presented in a way that the machine can understand it. It is beyond 1 and 0. It has to be presented in a mathematical manner. And worse, the question must be presented in a way that the machine can understand. You have to express your question in a mathematical manner. We'll go to the details in a few slides later, but please note this. Okay, this is where AI is creating more jobs than it is taking away. We'll come to that. And then it is extremely expensive. Return of investment may not be really worth the you spend $100 million, and the machine whatever is actually capable of doing it's if and you save say 10,000 rupees. Is that really worth investing? So there is a solution, but is it worth, right? And there is no generalization. One size does not fit all. This is what I explained a minute ago. AI cannot, whatever you trained it for one particular problem, it will not fit for anything else. So you have to keep building solution for every individual problem again and again, again and again, over and over. And because of all these kind of things, AI can sometimes become a solution which is searching for a problem. You have a solution, but you don't have a problem to solve. Okay, this can sometimes be the case, and these are the things which marketing is not telling you. And these are some of the myths that you really really need to understand, because if you understand the myths, then you can get the reality and you can actually harness AI to make yourself a more valuable resource to whatever company you're working for. And this, believe me, this is not a myth which just students experience or anything of that sort. This is a myth that even we struggle on a regular basis when interacting with some customers or sometimes with our to some stakeholders within the organization. Poor fellows, they are taken by, deceived by this marketing speak, and they come thinking that, yeah, I will apply an algorithm, have two people work on this for 3 days, and I'm going to solve all my problems. I'll fire all the staff. I'll automate everything. Nah, doesn't work that way. Okay, so AI is like magic. It's a major myth. That's it's AI is not magic. AI is inherently unethical. No, AI is just mathematics. Maths is not ethical or unethical or anything of that sort. Maths is maths. AI is maths. AI is by and large maths. Okay. AI will, the third myth, AI will cause widespread job losses. This is what we're going to deal with in the remainder of the slides as well. So I'll not go too much into it, but that is a myth. AI will not cause any job losses. AI in itself can lead to better productivity and innovation. Just because I have purchased a Microsoft Copilot license from Microsoft, oh, Thana Dhan, tomorrow my productivity is going to double and triple. No, you should know what to use Copilot for, how to use it, where it can be used, and how much value it is getting. You are getting. Okay. AI is one size fits all. No, it's not. We just discussed this. AI will soon be able to make decisions without human input. No, definitely not. AI can only help humans take better decisions. That's all. AI will not replace any human anytime soon. AI failures are caused by algorithms. No, AI failures are generally caused by humans or by the data. You feed garbage to it, you get garbage out of it. Okay, we'll discuss this. AI can understand context. Definitely not. It might be a bit tough for, for students at this stage for you to understand what this sentence means. Okay, but I have an example in the next slides to actually explain this. Okay, so I'll just pause this for a single minute. We'll go there. So AI is a singular entity. This is another huge myth, and understanding this reality behind this myth is is a place where, this is where jobs are actually happening. This is where AI is creating jobs. AI is not one small nut and bolt. Okay, AI is a huge system with many individual components: software, hardware, user interface, data processing, databases, programming, mathematics, testing, whatnot. Okay, so all these pieces should work together to hopefully give a result to the user. So this is where AI creates jobs rather than take them away. And the last, my favorite of all, AI is new technology. That is a myth. AI is not new. AI had been around since before I was born. It's just that the hardware for running the most of the algorithms that are known up to this point, right? The research in AI, mathematical research in AI, has been happening for the past close to 100 years. The first computer was designed by Alan Turing in Second World War, something in 1941 or 42 or something like that. Okay, and the first AI program was written in 1945, just 3 years after the computer was invented. And remember, it was an analog computer, not even a digital computer. 3 years later, the first AI algorithm was written, and Alan Turing himself envisioned AI. Okay, so AI is not new. It's just that many of the algorithms on which AI is being used, right? AI algorithms, the hardware cost reduced only in the last 5 to 10 years. So it is now easy to implement AI, some of the AI algorithms. So people are very interested to see what it can do. AI is not new. AI has been around since a very long time. Okay, so I will not go too much into this because this is just something for you to read. My favorite quotes are the fourth one, and I'll just go over some of my favorite quotes here. The problem with artificial intelligence: it's neither artificial nor intelligent. It's one of my favorite quotes. Okay, and if you work for at least 3 4 years in the field of AI, you'll agree with this wholeheartedly. And the last quote that I have here is the one which I really want to focus upon, by Karim Lakhani. He is the professor at Harvard Business School. AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. This is the quote I really want to focus upon, because this is where, irrespective of your domain, whether you are from a computer science domain or you are from a AI, ML, DS domains, or you are from electronics, electrical, mechanical, civil engineering, doctors, lawyers, doesn't matter. AI can be harnessed by you to, so that you can do your job faster and better. AI will not replace you. Okay. So let's look at a couple of use cases just to understand what is it that AI does. See, I really don't want to go into details of, okay, what is it that Tesla's robocar, the auto self-driving cars, and all those kind of things, because that's, you have been bored with it ad nauseum so far. Okay, I'll just go take a few cases so that we realize how can this actually help me in my job search. Right, that's the point of view with I'm taking these use cases. That's the reason why they're very generic, so to speak, but these are real use cases. I've worked on some of these myself personally. Okay, so what can AI do? It will predict the premium amount for a new insurance policy. Students might be too young to be exposed to this, but if you go to this websites like Policy Bazaar, etc., right, and you want to take a insurance for your bike, or for your home, or for your you want to take a life insurance policy or anything like that, they'll ask you a bunch of questions. What is your age? What is your gender? Drinking, smoking, drinking habits, how many kilometers do you drive in a day, what is your education qualification, etc., etc. And they said, okay, this is the premium amount. Right, that can be done, that was being done before computers were even invented. Okay, they were taking the same data and same information. Life insurance policies, etc., were being sold. It is said that the first insurance policies in the world were actually created, the product actually was envisaged in the Kakatiya Empire in Warangal. Okay, there was no computer at that time for sure. Right, so what are we doing now? We're bringing AI. What used to happen around 19, even up to 1960s, 70s, right? Insurance agents, they used to come with a book, a big book. Now, if you say that, okay, I want an insurance, they open the book, they have a table, your name, age, etc. They go through all these rows and columns, and they find that, okay, for your age, education qualification, etc., they have this table. This is the range, 100 rupees to 500 rupees is the premium that they should charge for you, and then it's a negotiation. So instead of carrying a, and that book used to get revised every 6 months, every 1 year, or something of that sort. Okay, and that was the secret information which the company used to share only with their agents. Now what are we doing? We're doing it on a computer, and AI is doing that calculation for us. It is predicting that premium amount. Instead of relying on a table, which is printed in a book, and the information is out of date after 3 months, and every 6 months you have to print a new book and things like that. You have a model which is running on a computer, and you're doing the calculation, and now you're calling it AI. That's all. Similarly, predict a chemical combination for drug discovery. Okay, predict the chances of life or death for a patient. There is a patient in the ICU. What is the possibility that this patient will die? Oh, okay, there is 10% possibility that the patient will die. Oh, there is 90% possibility that the patient will die. You can calculate that using AI, and based upon that, take the decision. Now, what decision should you take? And this is where I deliberately chose this example. Now, just because you have AI to predict the probability of death for a patient, does that eliminate the need for a doctor? You say that, okay, this patient has a 90% probability that this patient will die. You run to the patient's relatives and say, oh, whoever is inside the ICU, 90% chance is going to die. I have discovered this using AI. What do you think is the reaction is going to be? The doctor is still required. The job of the doctor has not changed. Earlier, doctors had to rely on their intuition and things like that and say that, okay, there is 90% probability for this patient to die, so do something. Now that intuition based calculation has been moved to a computer, but the job of the doctor is still the same. That has not changed. He might have taken 6 hours or 5 hours to analyze that information before this algorithm was put in place. Now the algorithm does the calculation and gives the information to him. But the job of the doctor is still the same. The time to respond has been reduced using AI. The doctor is made more efficient. The job, the doctor became more efficient because he is using AI. But the doctor has not been made obsolete. Clear? That's the reason why actually I chose that particular example. Okay. If there are any questions, please feel free to stop me. So what does AI do? How does AI do all this? I gave you this example of premium age for calculating the premium, right? So this is how it works. The premium is a mathematical function of age, education, gender, distance driven in a day, alcohol consumer yes or no, smoking yes or no, etc., etc. So the premium y is a f of, it's a function of x1, x2, x3, so on xn, right? What does AI do? It guesses that mathematical function f, and it uses statistics or linear algebra or a combination of it to do it. So the f of x can be very simple. Y is equal to mx plus c, in which case it is called there is an algorithm named linear regression. It can be y is equal to 1 plus x1 by 1 factorial by x2 square by 2 factorial plus x3 cube by 3 factorial, so on. It could be a complicated function. It could be double differential of x1 by dx1 plus x2 by dx2, so on, etc. It doesn't matter how complicated that algorithm is. That is AI's job to figure out that particular algorithm. Let AI worry about it. But the job of the salesman has remained the same, right? Now, earlier, you remember I mentioned that this is something which marketing doesn't tell you, that you have to tell AI, you have to provide data to it in a way that the data should be understood by the AI. The question should be understood by the AI. And I also mentioned that it cannot understand context, right? So this is where that becomes very clear for you. Forget everything else, just look at the table. This is the table that is given to you, and let's for a moment imagine that premium amount, that column y is not present. Okay, so you have all this information, x1, x2, x3, etc., etc., etc. What will AI do? It doesn't know what to do. It has no clue what to do. You have to tell it that, hey, using all this information, predict y, which is y. Or, let's get naughty, using all this premium age, education, gender, etc., can you predict the distance driven in a day? Let's, hypothetically, I know it's an absurd example, but I'm giving it deliberately. But let's say that is your business case. You want to identify how many kilometers a person drives based on all the other information. AI doesn't automatically understand that. You have to tell AI that, hey, x4 is equal to f of y comma x1 comma x2 comma x3. So you express your data in a way that the AI can understand. You have written your problem in a way that AI can understand. Y is x4 is equal to f of y x1 x2, etc. Get that, right? So AI by itself doesn't know it, and this is where industry requires AI experts. Okay. So AI doesn't understand context. AI cannot figure out things on its own. You have to provide data, you have to provide problem in a way that AI can understand. And this is where jobs get created. Huge amounts of jobs, huge number of jobs get created here. And also in understanding that, hey, I have this such a AI is possible in such a so and so scenario. Okay. So there are a couple of other examples. These are things which you are by and large familiar with. Probably, I would say, they can you just by looking at this table, right? They can analyze and say, okay, these two items are have similar properties, and they say these two items are similar based on a distance. There is a subtle difference between those two statements. Two items have similar properties. Two items are similar. Okay, there is a subtle difference between those two. Where is this actually applicable? Whenever you go to Amazon, you open the Amazon app, or you go to YouTube, you see videos like this, right? Or you see things like people who purchase this item have also purchased so and so item. You see a list of things, right? That is what AI can do. That job can be done by humans also. Only thing is, humans will take many, many, many hours and days to do it. AI will do it much faster. That's all. These are the things that get calculated when we look at information. When X1 happened, how many times did XK happen? For example, when a person purchased shoes, how many times did he also purchase socks? When a person purchased milk, how many times have they also purchased bread? Let's say whenever they purchased milk, they have 90% of the times they have also purchased bread. For example, you have identified this. Okay, using all this conditional probability programming, etc., you identified this. Now what will the supermarket do? Next to the place where milk is sold, they'll put a shelf with bread in it. So you will have an impulse buy, and you'll say, oh, I need bread also, and you'll buy bread. That is why AI becomes helpful for all these folks. There is a very, very, very famous story that is told. It was identified that when men purchase, this is in America, okay, not probably not applicable for Indian context. When men purchase beer, I'm sorry, when men purchase diapers, they are also likely to purchase beer. This is something which data has said to one of the Walmart kind of Target or something like that, some supermarkets in US. And when they identified this information, this is one of the earliest cases where conditional probability was used for calculating, was used in the retail industry. Okay, and that gave birth to an AI algorithm called market basket analysis. Okay, so when the supermarket understood this, earlier they used to be a huge team of people whose only job is to do all the conditional probability calculation using a pen and paper, nothing else. Their only job is to look at the data. There used to be 4 or 5 such people, and they could go through a certain amount of data in a day. When they got this to run on a computer, the calculations happened much faster, and they said that when they purchase diapers, they also purchase beer. So the supermarket put the diaper section very close to the beer section, and they doubled their sales or increased their sales by a significant extent. Okay, so that is what AI does. But the fact that you have to feed this information, you may argue, okay, those 4 or 5 statisticians have lost their job, maybe, but those 4 or 5 statisticians have retooled themselves to write a computer program, and they became more valuable to the company. And this is what actually happens. Now coming to Gen AI, this is the whole buzz in the industry, right? Gen AI is capable of writing poetry, capable of drawing images and all these kind of things. So what does Gen AI do? In a given text, if a word sequence XXXYY is YY is ZZZ, these are the sequence of words. What is the probability that the next word is AAA? Okay, so for example, if the sequence is I love, what is the probability that the next word is you, next word is India, next word is my parents? You might want to say I love you, I love India, I love my parents. What is the probability of it, and in what context? If we limit the text to purely a military scenario, I love India might come up more frequently than I love myself. If we discuss in a college scenario, I love you will come more frequently. That's an open secret, right? So the results are still not controlled by AI. The results are in the control of the other person when you say that sentence. But that's a different, so that job is not lost anywhere. But this is what Gen AI does. You give a sequence of words, it it takes the mathematical probability of what is the next word and predicts such a word and says that okay, this word has the highest probability of being the next word, so this is what I'm generating. So is it generating something? No, it is simply going with the probability of what is the next word. That is why it looks at huge amount of data, because if you look at barely 5 pages of text and say that hey, what is the probability, then the probability of you is exactly the same as probability of, I don't know, my parents or something of that sort. But if you look at many trillion terabytes of data, petabytes, right, then what is the most likely thing that people are going to say, most common thing that people are going to say? The highest probability comes for I love you or I love myself, or what is it? That is what Gen AI does. So it doesn't really generate words, it goes with the highest probability of the next word. Given a certain sequence of words, what is the probability of the next word? Okay. Any questions so far? Now, otherwise, we'll go into the AI and jobs.
So I believe at the end of the session, they'll be
Okay.
asking you.
Sure, madam. No problem. So let's go for, this is all good. We have understood what AI does and what AI cannot do, more importantly. So let's go for AI and jobs. By the way, I forgot to mention one thing here. Okay. I just want to mention this. So we remember our ninth class, eighth class algebra, right? So let's say we have x1 plus ax1 plus bx2 is equal to c. How many equations do you need? I mean, ax plus by is equal to c. Let's put it that way. How many equations do you need to solve the values of a, b, and c? If there are three unknowns, then we need three equations, right? That is the case only for linear equations. But as the equations become more and more complex, for example, if you go to these double differentials, x1 by dx1, x2 by dx2, etc., there are n unknowns, so n equations will not be sufficient. You need a lot more data, huge amount of data to come to a reasonable understanding of that. Okay. And that is why AI is called data hungry. Okay. So this is something that you really need to understand, because getting so much data, processing all that data so that it can be understood by the AI algorithm, storing all that in databases, running them on distributed computers, because when Facebook very accurately says that this is a person who you might know, or this is something, YouTube says that okay, this algorithm is very similar to, this video is very similar to what you're watching right now, etc. Okay, they are processing many zettabytes of data, and for processing that much amount of data you need huge farm of computers, servers, where this algorithm runs. So distributed computing, things of that sort, Hadoop, big data processing, etc. All these kind of things are required so that you can process all that data. And sometimes such distributed computing is not permitted by the algorithm that you are using. Okay, so those kind of things get into designing that is where AI becomes very expensive, data hungry. And programming for that is where jobs get created, because you're doing so much work for a very, very specific use case, for a narrow AI. You change the requirement very slightly, you have to do this job all over once again. For example, you have an algorithm which very wonderfully predicts the premium for a bike. What is the motor no, you have a motor vehicle insurance, you have an algorithm which predicts the premium of a bike. You are very happy with it. Your manager comes and says, fantastic, use the same algorithm for a car. It's more than likely that the algorithm will fail. Now if we speak of humans, insurance, using the same algorithm for humans and for home insurance, different kinds of insurance that the industries take when they have heavy equipment and things like that, forget it. You need completely separate. You have to redo the algorithm again and again, over and over. Okay, so there is no loss of jobs. It's not one size fits all. Okay? So is AI out to get our jobs? As I've been saying so far, no. Point number two, no. And point number three, an emphatic no. AI is not out to get our jobs. AI is can be used for us to enhance the productivity of our job. Okay, technology always threatens some jobs, but it creates a lot more. Think of it. Wheel, we don't know who has invented the wheel. It's lost in antiquity. Before the wheel was invented, people were carrying everything on their shoulders. So when wheel was invented, did humanity lose jobs as a whole, or have we used it and built, you know we have transformed the way of life? Computer, well, let's go with a very much more recent example. Has it killed jobs? Classic example is India. When in the 1970s, I think, okay, there was a huge discussion on should India allow computers to come into the country. There was a huge discussion there, and the government policy was that a country like India cannot afford to have computers because it will cause widespread job loss. You won't need stenographers, you won't need typists, everything. Jobs will be lost, people will be unemployment will rise. That's what they said. And then the IT revolution happened in the year 2000, along with Y2K. Computer is now part of everybody's life. Who has lost their job because of a computer? In fact, computers has created more jobs. IT revolution, India has become the address for IT skills. Nobody lost a job because of a computer. Agreed. Stenographers, typists, records assistants, they lost their jobs. But what did they do? They simply retooled themselves as MS Office experts. They learned MS Office for 45 days, and now voila. In addition to doing typing, stenographer, whatever works, now they are also computer operators. They became more valuable to the company, right? Which jobs are more in number? Software engineer jobs, designers, testers, analysts, that one, or the stenographers, typists, and record assistants, the pre-computers jobs? Which jobs are more in number? Which jobs are more high paying? Which jobs are allowing a more better affordable better lifestyles? I'll give you a personal example again. Okay, now let's say author is looking for cover page for his book. Gen AI's output is not sufficient. Now what? This is a personal experience for one of the books that I have written. Okay, I've asked AI, give me the image of I've asked this to Dali. Okay, give me the image of a professor teaching machine learning to some laptops in a classroom in front of a blackboard. All laptops have human faces. Laptop 1 is named logistic regression and it is weeping. Laptop 2 is named deep learning and it is smiling because it understood the problem very well. Laptop 3 is named KNN and it is dozing off because it's called a lazy learner. That's the nickname for KNN. Okay, so I wanted to show it as it is dozing off in a classroom. It doesn't learn well. Okay, the background the blackboard should have something called a receiver operating characteristic curve, and area under the curve should be shaded. And on the two attempts, this is what what AI gave me. This is not what I wanted. So what did I have to do? I had to draw this myself. So assuming I'm an artist who is doing this cover page design for my clients, this is merely a starting point for me. My art job has not changed. I have to understand the customer's requirement and get what he wants, give him what he wants. That has not changed, right? So I can use Gen AI for creating this initial draft. It earlier used to take me, say, 6 hours, but using Gen AI, I reduce the time to 10 minutes. Now, with this as a starting point, the customer and I will discuss, and I'll get to what he wants, and I'll end up with this. So, my job is not threatened. I have become more efficient because of Gen AI. Okay. Now, hypothetically, and I just want to make this much more clear, let's extend the example. What has happened, what the computer understood is not what I actually asked, right? If you look at the blackboard there, it is full of mistakes in the mathematics, and even the intention that I wanted really didn't get carried over here, because Gen AI is designed to be creative, not accurate. Gen AI is meant to be creative. It's not meant to be accurate. Okay. And every time I ask it, I'll get a different result. I won't get the same consistency, is not what Gen AI is designed for. So let's extend this to a hypothetical case. I prompted, give me the aeroplane's left wing design that can withstand speeds of Mach 12, operate at temperature ranges between minus 20 degrees and 150 degrees centigrade, and consume fuel of less than 1 ton per hour. This is the specific requirement. A Boeing or a Lockheed Martin or someone like that, they would get a specific requirement like this. And if they give an approximate answer of that sort, who will sit in that aeroplane? I won't. So yes, Gen AI is there, but it's not accurate. It's not going to replace the mechanical engineering team who is designing this aeroplane. Okay. So now let's get to the crux of it. I know we're coming to the end of it, but let's, I request you to please focus a couple of minutes on this. Now that we have seen everything that, what AI cannot do and how jobs are not under threat, let's see how to make use of AI so that we become a better employee, more valuable employee to the company, and grab those promotions. Okay. So rule number one: AI is a tool. It's not a slave. It's not an enemy. It's not a magician. You just, as horrible as the institution of slavery is, the slave is actually a human being. So he can understand what you want. You tell, the even the sentence is very nauseating, but get me water. The slave understands that you want drinking water to drink, or it should be clean water, etc. It understands the slave will understand the context. AI will not understand context. How many of you have seen the movie Robo One by Rajnikant and Shankar? You look at it in the earlier part of the movie, when Chitti is still not intelligent, so to speak, right? He behaves the way AI behaves right now. Not right now, but with the limitations are there, the capabilities have been exaggerated. It follows the words very, very literally. Literally. You remember the scene where he switches on the TV and then throws the TV on the ground? That is exactly what AI is. It does it very literally. It is your job to understand what AI can do and AI cannot do, and make it do what you want it to do. And that is where the rule 2 comes from. A good worksman understands his tools well. You put the rule 1 and rule 2, that is where you get job opportunities. You understand what AI can and cannot do for your domain, for your expertise. Use it to enhance your value, and you will be the star performer in your organization, whichever organization it is. Okay. Add AI to your knowledge repertoire. You identify scenarios where you can harness AI to improve your productivity. Believe me, industry is struggling with this. Everyone wants to use AI. Nobody knows where it can be used. You identify a use case where AI can be used, even 10-15% improvement you bring to the productivity, you will be a star performer. Example, a large number of enterprises, the GPT-3, GPT-4 and all made a lot of splash early last year, right? Everyone was like, okay, this is the end of human creativity. A large number of enterprises are trying to bring Gen AI based solutions to production this year. In this year, 2024, a large number of these solutions are about to come to production. Now we will see whether the solution is really worth the effort or not. Is the hype meeting the expectation that is going to be realized? That realization is going to happen this year. Industry is holding its breath. Okay, so there's just one example of hype and reality. So how is AI growing nowadays? This is one important thing that I would like you to just spare a little thought on. It's a multi-dimensional growth for the field of AI itself. New algorithms are coming up. GPT, all the transformers, all these things are they're rather new algorithms, relatively new. Okay, that's one area of growth. It is spreading to new domains. It is getting commoditized, and it is evolving as a discipline. These are the four pillars which are creating jobs, more jobs than you can than what are lost. New algorithms, this is the place where the pure play data scientists and mathematicians find jobs. You find a new algorithm that can be implemented. This DALI is the name, commercial name given to something called a transformer technology, generative technologies, etc., etc., deep learning. These are all new algorithms. I mean, deep learning is not exactly new, but still. Okay, so if you are a mathematician and if you want to be a pure PhD kind of a data scientist, that is where there is an endless gold mine is waiting over there for whoever can crack those mathematics complexities. Then it is going into new domains. AI, traditionally AI is thought of as only for retail or for financial markets, etc. No, AI is finding new domains in mechanical engineering, civil engineering, aeronautics, hydro, what is called, marine, hydro, not sorry, not hydro, marine. Okay, so new domains are using wherever there is a prediction required, and if the data can be expressed in a mathematical manner, use AI, and you have expanded AI to a new domain. My One of my favorite discussions that I've ever had regarding this is when someone compared AI and its predictions to astrology. Think of that. Astrology also takes some information, your name, date of birth, time of birth, place you are born, latitude, longitude, etc., etc., and predicts that you will be happy today or unhappy today and takes money from you. That's what an astrologer does. That's what AI also does. It takes your name. It can take your age, date of birth, place of birth, all these kind of details, and it will predict whether you're happy today or you'll be unhappy today. Right. So you have essentially extended AI to the field of astrology. So this is a hypothetical, ridiculous, funny case, but I'm just giving you as an example. And this is where every field who is not a core discipline, who is not a core computer science or electronics or electrical or something of that sort, right? You understand what AI can do and how you can use it. That's another gold mine for you. Then the third one is it's getting commoditized. And when I say commoditized, this is the place where electronic students will find this really, really interesting. In olden days, I'm speaking of 1960s, okay, when the digital computers and all evolved, the ENIAC computers, all these things, they were as big as a house. People actually used to walk on a computer to change the knobs and the vacuum tubes and things like that. Then came punch cards. Punch cards required experts. If you want to use a computer, you had to use punch cards, and using a punch card required an expert. Gradually computers have been commoditized, and all of us carry smartphones in our pockets. The smartphone in our pocket, in any one of our pocket, even a low budget smartphone, is more powerful than the first generation supercomputer. The first generation supercomputer ever built, right, is not as powerful as the mobile phone in your pocket. All of us are walking with a supercomputer in our pocket. How many of you really understand the power behind it? It has been, not many of us. The most we use it is for YouTube videos or Instagram or something of that sort, right? So that is what is commoditization is, and that is what is happening in the field of AI. If you might have heard of these names like this edge computing, that's a specialized dedicated hardware is being designed so that the AI runs on a chip, thereby bringing down the cost of deploying AI solutions to the market. This Nvidia GPUs, Nvidia has invested in AI for a long time, and today is Nvidia is one of the most valuable companies on the planet with their GPUs and things like that. That is commoditization. They are making AI not as a special tool in the hands of an expert, but for everyone. Okay, I'll just give you an example of how commoditization is actually helping. Imagine light bulb was invented by Thomas Alva Edison. Imagine using a light bulb is so complicated that every time a light bulb has to be changed in your home, you need Thomas Edison to come and change it. The system is so complicated that you can't do it by your own. What will happen? How many people will actually be able to use light bulbs? Instead, as and when the technology gets commoditized, electricians, you can call them on Urban Clap and apps like that. You can change it on your own, right? So did that make anyone lose their job, or did it create jobs, right? So evaluation as a discipline, I'll not go into too much details over there. There are things like DevOps and quality assurance practices and things like that. It's a little far out now, but this is something which I want to spend again another couple of minutes on. I know I'm getting taking a little longer, but this is an important piece of information. Uh, Gartner is a company which the only thing they do is market study. They study the technology market and keep putting out this information, not free of cost. We have to buy it. This is 1 year old, so this is available free of cost. The one for 2024, I'll have to buy it. I don't think it's released yet. Okay, but this shows how the market is going through. Okay, and each technology, how much plateau of productivity is where jobs get created. Innovation trigger, peak of inflated expectations is where salaries are highest, but there is a risk that that particular technology will fizzle out, kind of like .NET and Java. When .NET was introduced, there was a peak of .NET is going to replace Java, blah 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 blah. Many people, including me, chose .NET as a career, and .NET fizzled out, or at least didn't become as successful as some of the other technologies, right? So that risk always exists, but at the peak of inflated expectations, the salaries will be very high. When you reach a plateau of productivity, the salaries will be stable. I'm not saying the salaries will be low, they'll be stabilized, but there'll be a lot of people, there'll be a lot of competition. Okay, but this is where it is. Computer vision is reaching the plateau of productivity. Edge AI is going through this trough of disillusionment. Okay, generative AI is at the peak of inflated expectations. So based on this, you can choose which. Even within AI, there are so many subtopics, so to speak. These are all application oriented, okay, job oriented, so to speak, industry oriented, not the pure theory, but the industry oriented, business requirements oriented subdomains of AI. You can choose one, and as you improve your skills in that particular subdomain, the industry will come calling. Okay, so What about me? This Gartner's. We are on the last three slides, so just please bear with me. The Gartner slide is particularly useful for people who have already entered the industry. Even for students, it is useful, but people who are already in the industry will find it far more valuable. Okay, but what about me? I'm a student. What should I learn? If you are a CS, AIML, data science student, learn the algorithms, as many as you can. Linear regression, logistic regressions, KNNs, SVRs, whatever. Learn as many as you can, and not just the mathematical derivation of the formula. That is for the maths professors to understand. Good to know it, but focus on how do I use it. What is the difference between, say for example, linear regression, logistic regression, and support vector classification? What is the benefit that I get with support vector classification? What is the benefit I get with logistic regression? You understand these differences from an usage point of view, and that adds a lot of value to you. Lot of value to you. And in addition to that, please learn things like data wrangling, optimization techniques for algorithms, software engineering, object oriented programming. See, those are core competencies. Okay, you cannot skip those. And learning these additional things are going to be helpful. There are lots of new jobs. Like I said, it's a gold mine. Okay, now if you're from an electronic student, I mentioned this earlier, there is a huge demand in building hardware for AI specific requirements. So please focus on those. How to design the building blocks of AI using circuits? How does a GPU actually work? Right? And how do I increase processing speeds using FPGA, VLSI, edge computing devices, and things like that? Okay, these are essentially your core topics, right? So understand, learn those, but just pay attention on how does this help an AI requirement. If you're adventurous, try quantum computing hardware, spiking networks, etc. But I have to caution you, it's complicated, at least for a undergraduate level. Quantum computing, spiking networks, these are all complicated. I grant you that. Okay, but if you're adventurous, there's no harm in learning the theory of it, if not the hands on. What about if you're from other, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, uh, royal civil, evergreen mechanical, those kind of chemical? You understand your domain very well. That is a fundamental requirement, because all these AI scientists and the hardware engineers won't have a job to do if you don't know how to use AI. You guys are the customers for us. You guys are provide the bread and butter for us. You understand your domain well. What data is available, quality of the data, quantity of the data, what can AI do with this data? I'll go, in the previous slides we had that table, why, for the premium calculation and all that, right? See what kind of the data is available for your particular domain. Some of the things that I am familiar with, I'll tell you. These are sort of beaten examples. I'm not familiar with all of them, but I'm familiar with a few of them. If you are from a mechanical engineering field, you have this, what is it called, Navier-Stokes equations, right? And the Navier-Stokes equations are extremely complicated to do by hand, very very complicated, but they're also very important. In such areas, you can use AI to do a certain approximation, okay, so that you get to the results faster. You have used, now you are using AI and you're making yourself more valuable for your boss. Array, this is a complicated problem. I give to this particular kid from NIT Tadepalligudem, and he's going to solve my problem in 2 days. Others are going to take 1 month. Oh, I can rely on this kid. That's what AI can do for you. Navier-Stokes is one example I'm aware of. If you are from a construction, civil engineering, right? You will see this. You have this civil plan. This is something which my company, actually, we have released a product on this. Okay, you have this floor plan, right? A floor plan containing so many, and you have to count as a civil engineer before starting construction. You have to count how many doors are there, how many windows are there, how many plug points are there. Based on that, you have to place an order to the carpenting, the wood, the plywood companies. This particular approach is called takeoff in civil engineering domain, right? So the traditional way it was done is open the floor plan, 20 people sit on front of it, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there are 22 doors, 15 windows, 12 ventilators, 200 plug points. They used to count by hand. Okay, someone came with a great idea, hey, can we use AI for it? And our company has actually released a product for it. I mean, just deviating a bit here, but we have released a product for it. I personally had some exposure in that. Okay, we reduce the time significantly. Now you are the one who will be using it. Has that eliminated your need to build the house? No. Instead of taking 1 month to it, you build that product and you do it in 20 minutes. If not, you don't take 1 week for doing that work. You finish that work, that counting part, in 20 minutes. You are, now you have time to do better things rather than the grunt work, right? So this is how you can use AI. You identify such a use case. You don't have to solve the problem. You identify a use case. The people from the AI ML CS domains will solve the problem for you, because their challenge is they don't know the use case. You know the use cases. Okay, so if you want to get exposed to the different AI technology, the algorithms, etc., but you are scared of coding, and I understand that, you can make use of low code, no code tools. It is all drag drop kind of a thing. You won't be able to put it into a production, but you can understand how AI algorithms work. So I would recommend that to you guys. Now, this is what it is. This is what I've been saying earlier, and this is what it is. An engineer with domain skills plus AI skills is always more valuable than an engineer with just domain skills. Okay, so AI will not replace any engineer, it will enhance the work of an engineer. And I will just spend a minute on this, because soft skills, as I understand it, uh, I mean, it's my opinion as well. I don't mean it in an offensive manner, but students are increasingly unaware of the requirement for soft skills. Hard skills are good. Hard skills is the cake. Soft skills is the icing on the cake. Without soft skills, hard skills won't take you anywhere. Okay, they are necessary for everyone. So hard skills would be, if you are from, depending upon your stream and all, it could be programming, design, architecture, algorithms, cloud computing, etc., etc. If for other streams, it would be domain knowledge, whatever domain it is, electrical, mechanical, marine, aeronautical, whatever it is. But look at that. Now look at the bottom half. Soft skills take up the remaining 50%. You need to learn interpersonal skills, verbal and non-verbal communication, critical thinking, work ethics, listening skills, something which the world is woefully lacking. Listening skills. More, when we say communication skills, it is how do you speak. But what is the point if you want to solve the problem of some team? You go to the team meeting, half an hour team meeting, and you speak for 29 minutes. Have you solved anyone's problem? Should you not first of all understand the problem? These are listening skills. You can, the listening skills can be practiced by, even when you're in school, college days itself, right? Just try listening to your professors. Listen to them. Hearing is not listening. You just heard something. It doesn't mean that you're listening, right? So these are soft skills which are necessary for everyone. So I'll not harp more on this. I'll leave it to you guys. So these are just some information on how AI is being adopted in different industries. Okay, and what is the biggest barrier for adopting AI? Limited AI skills, expertise, or knowledge. That is the biggest barrier. Companies don't know how to use AI. The price is too high. There are not sufficient platforms. the project is too difficult or complex to integrate and manage, too much data complexity. So the data is so complicated that you cannot express it in a mathematical format. These are the biggest challenges for AI adoption. So if anyone says that okay, tomorrow, Kirloskar or Tata Motors, etc., they're firing all employees, everything will be done by a robot, then they are lying to you. Okay, so there are many challenges to AI adoptions. So, and when I say challenges, that is actually the opportunity for us, for how to use AI. If you can come up with that one idea, then you will be the hottest resource on the market. Okay, I'll leave this one. This is not particularly how AI is being adopted across industries. There's nothing much value, it's just information here. Okay, so with that I'll stop. I know I have gone much longer. Thanks for bearing with me. So any questions, please? I'll be happy and I'll try answering any questions that you may have.
Sir, I'm sure there will be a few questions from our students.
Yeah.
There are also long-time listeners. And before that, I just want to tell you that this was really an excellent session, sir. Excellent. Just in 2 words, I want to tell excellent session, and every slide has a very much valuable information which you have given.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I believe there is a complete flip of their thought. Whatever the myth was, like AI would take away their jobs and whatever they had, there is a complete flip of their thought. I'm sure on that. And thank you so much. This was really giving a lot of information where also we would like to add this particular session onto our website. And students, if you have any questions, please raise your hand, and uh, Mr. Gopi Krishna, he would like to uh, answer.
I'll try and answer. Yeah,
And
sure.
I would also like to add, because just looking into the content, what Sir has shared on LinkedIn, just looking into that, I just requested only for one particular request. Sir has given us, he accepted our request and he is here today. But a lot of information bringing you. And also, sir, we would not only because this is a virtual sessions, we also would love if your physical presence is here sometime in future, where we would surely request for you to be here. Yeah.
Sure.
Any
Always
questions?
happy to spend time with students, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions here? I'm sure that students, you'll be having some questions on this.
Please feel free. Any question? Like I said, there are no stupid questions.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So when you are talking about the myth, the hype of AI, right? You had shown some videos from Boston Robotics.
Right.
So I'm guessing what you're trying to imply there is that what they're doing is not actually AI, it's just all hard coded. Is that the point?
Oh, no. It's not hard coded. The word hard coded has a very specific and a negative connotation. It's not hard coded. All I'm saying is it is narrow AI. It is not artificial general intelligence.
Okay, so there is a role of AI for
Yes,
performing those things.
absolutely. There is computer vision involved. For example, the robot automatically detects that there is an obstacle on the path and jumps over it. So computer vision algorithms have been built into the robot's processing system, so that it takes, it has cameras, right? It takes a photograph, says that okay, it's not a smooth road, there is an obstacle, and the obstacle is maybe 1.5 feet high, right? So the depth calculation, etc., all these things happen, and it decides that okay, I must use so much strength or downward thrust so that I can jump over it. So all these different small point solutions have been built, and they have all been stitched together into that robot. Identifying that there is an obstacle, that is a point solution. Identifying that the obstacle is 1.5 feet high, that is a second solution. Okay, it's not one single algorithm that is doing all these things. Then there is a third algorithm which says that, okay, the distance between me and the obstacle is so much. This is not depth, this is distance. This is third algorithm. Then there is a master algorithm which controls all these things. That is not AI. That is just plain old software engineering. You see, so that is what it is. So there are different pieces of AI algorithms involved here, and it is software engineers who are putting them all together to work. And still, it is not AGI. That particular robot may be extremely good in working in an industrial setting. You want it to work in a steel plant, walk very close to a blast furnace, it can do it. But you bring that robot home, okay, and Chintu, please carry the groceries for me, it won't do it. That is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, sir. Sir, but can we argue that after a sufficient number of narrow AIs have been made, and we also make another narrow AI to decide which narrow AI to use in a particular situation, would that be general intelligence, or is that still narrow intelligence?
No, if you have a battery of narrow AI algorithms and you're putting them together, you're still going to end up with a narrow AI. Because the master algorithm which controls these narrow AIs, individual narrow AIs, is still based on rules which are coded by hand. Okay, so it has limitations. If you want artificial general intelligence, it is a completely different mindset, a completely different uh, thought process altogether, which where starting from the very ground basics, the entire AI stack has to be reimagined and re-architected. So if you, it is very unlikely that you'll end up with AGI with a battery of narrow AIs.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Even if that were possible, okay, even if we, it need not be true AGI, but sufficiently knowledge enough to handle a wide variety of situations, let's put it that way, okay, even that is many decades away. Because this Boston Robotics, these robots that you're seeing, like I said, they are for an industrial setting. You can't take that robot as it is and use it for, say, relief operations in a disaster situation, right? So the narrow AI just doesn't retrain itself for an AGI.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions here? Okay. So one question from my end.
Sure.
Chat GPT, where you said it's not an AI. So you said we'll discuss it later. Just curious about it. Yeah.
Right. So Chat GPT is, like I said, it is what is called as a GPT, general purpose transformer, the generative transformer. Okay, so that's what it is. What it does is, without going into too much complexity of the algorithm, ChatGPT has been trained on the entire publicly available information on the internet. You might have read this, right? So what did they do? They have taken this uh, trillions and trillions and trillions of words, the word text that is available on public internet, okay, and they asked GPT to do mathematical calculations. If you find the sequence "I love," create a table of words and their probabilities. Okay, so it says it has in its memory, it stores this table "I love." Okay, this is a sequence. Then the next word, the probability of "you" is, let's say, 60%. What it actually means that in this plethora of text that it has actually been trained upon, wherever the word "I love" has occurred, the sequence "I love" has occurred, "you" has followed that "I love," okay, 60 times out of 100. That's simply what it says. Okay, now if you say that "I love" and then you type the word "my" and you ask it to fill it, So it'll again go through the database. I love my. How many times did the word country occur? What is the probability of what is the occurrence of it? Right? Statistically. Country occurred 50 times out of 100. I love my parents occurred 30 times out of 100. I love my family occurred 40 times out of 100. So among this, country is the most probable word. So I'll give it to you.
Sir, how does the question or prompt fit into the picture here?
Prompt is what the input starting sequence that you provide to it is, right? So if you take the GPT, you don't have any input prompt to it, right? I mean, you I have to give the initial word I love for it to understand what it should do next.
But like in ChatGPT, the prompts we give
Ask
are
question,
questions, right?
right? Yeah. So like I said, I oversimplified the situation, that algorithm a little bit, but your prompt is what your initial sequence is. So what chat gpt going into just scratching the detail here, not too much details again. So what chat, when you give your prompt to it, what the algorithm does is internally it strips away every English language that we use has something called fluff words. Okay, words which don't add any value to the actual intention from a mathematics point of view. What is your name? That's a question, right? So in that, is what is considered a fluff word. What your name, those three words will convey the same meaning to the computer as what is your name. So what does gpt do? And if you're actually doing NLP and all, there is something called tokenization, lemmatization. There are certain aspects of that, so it removes all these fluff words, and that becomes the starting point for gpt. What your name. So the gpt has been designed to be a question and answer kind of a bot, right? Technology, right? So it takes that and say, okay, my name is whatever, GPT-4 or DALI, or it'll answer that. The prompt becomes the starting point sequence to your GPT. I've oversimplified the entire algorithm because if we have to go into the details, that itself will be easily a 30-minute discussion.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, what do you recommend a student to do if suppose I don't just want to manage the current technology? Suppose I want to push the boundaries or amplify the current technology. Suppose create something innovative. So in one of your slides, you told don't just learn the mathematical derivations, also learn the proper application as well. If you want to amplify the current boundary also, we need to learn a huge amount of theoretical aspects also.
Yes. So it's this way. Decide what you actually want to be, right? If you want to be a pure play data scientist, and it's not wrong to be want to be one. Okay, you want to go with come up with a new algorithm which will solve a particular problem. Okay, then you have to understand, because AI, data science, ML, everything is entirely based on mathematics. You have to understand mathematics, the theoretical mathematics. Okay, so if you understand the theoretical mathematics better, then you will be able to understand the algorithm better, and you'll be then only after you understand all the algorithms, you'll be able to come up with a new algorithm, right? So that is what a theoretical data scientist would do. If you want to be an application oriented data scientist, then learn how to use existing algorithms for a problem that has not been solved so far. Okay,
Clear, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions? I hope no more questions are here now. Any questions? Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us and telling the students that what actually is required. Like agility is very much important, along with, because AI is not going to take away their jobs, but it is along with what is going on in the trend, that is AI is in the trend, along with which what they needs to learn for this competitive world is very important, and they need to run along with this. is important, not to make themselves to be there itself where they are, but to learn many more things. So that, yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us, and thank you all the students for trying to understand. And surely, I think we will call sir once again. His physical presence is very important to our institute, I believe. Along with this, I think we are closing today's session. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck,
Thank
everyone.
you, sir.